Hey everybody, I'm sure you know it, but LA is on fire right now, and the good folks over at Conan want your help to help the LA firefighters. Right now, you can get this limited edition print over on the Conan website. It comes in sizes 8 by 12 up to 32 by 48. The price for it ranges from $15.90 up to $36.70, so it's still like in that affordable range, even if you get the largest one. 100% of the proceeds of this go to support the LA firefighters. I'll leave a link to this in the description below. Check it out.
Yo, Joe! He never gives up. He's always there, fighting for freedom over land and air. G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe!
Hey everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. So there were a lot of figures that I acquired over the holidays, mostly like the end of November, beginning of December, and I didn't get a chance to open them on camera, and some of them I have opened off camera, and we may be able to get a look at them later in the year, in one way or another, but there are some that I saved to open on camera with you just because I thought it would be fun, and I really wanted to share these with you. And one of them is what we are taking a look at today. So go ahead and leave us a like, because today we are getting back to our G.I. Joe roots, and we are taking a look at Road Pig right here. And I am very excited about this figure. First of all, if you've watched the channel, you know, the two factions I get the most excited about is my beloved Nightforce and, of course, the Dreadnoks. And Road Pig is one of the later additions to the Dreadnoks. I didn't have him when I was a child. I didn't have him in the vintage line. I don't remember why. There was just something about him that, when I was a kid, didn't really do much for me. But this guy, this deluxe figure right here with Rawkus right here and some of the other accessories make me really excited. And I pretty much know already how I'm going to display him, and I guarantee it's not going to be the way that many of you are going to be displaying your Road Pig. Now, what we have is a animal and pet pack right here, and there's just a lot going on here. We, of course, have the big window so you can see everything that he comes with. Sort of has that carbon fiber packaging going around. Up top, just the number and the Cobra logo. On the side, we have some great artwork of Road Pig with his helmet on and Rawkus with his working boy face on. Over here, we have symbols and that QR code. On back, we have a great promotional shot along with some highlights of the figure, like the skull shoulder pauldron, the end of the hog head of his warhammer, and his tats right here, the Anarchy tattoo, of course. And I'm very excited about this. Let's not discuss the packaging anymore. Let's just get this open and take a look at HASBRO G.I. Joe Classified Series, the Dreadnok Road Pig, and Rawkus. Now, one of the reasons I love the Dreadnoks so much is just because of the diversity of their look. I love my G.I. Joe Classified line, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the figures, a lot of the characters, especially among the Joes, do tend to start to have a very similar look across the board. It's a uniform look, which is to be expected. They're the military, they're in uniform. The Dreadnoks, however, completely breaks that norm, that each one of them is very different. Each one of them has their own unique look, their own unique style, their own unique costume, even their own unique sculpt to their bodies, and their buck, their legs, face sculpts, everything, which I love. You don't get that much diversity among the G.I. Joe line like you do with something like Marvel Legends or maybe even Star Wars. And when I get something like this, something that is so wholly unique in my beloved Classified line, I am very happy and very excited to get my hands on it. Like Road Pig here looks like he came right out of the Road Warrior or Fury Road or some Mad Max realm like that. And I absolutely love it. And I know there are some people that are upset about the design choices they made with him versus the vintage figure, how they sort of veered away from just the old look of just the big solid muscular brick house that he was sort of portrayed as in the vintage line, to a more overweight and honestly more realistic look than what we had before. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I do think both of them have their merits, but this is the only version of Road Pig I have, so, or ever had, so this is the only one I'm going to be able to comment on. And I love the football pads. I love how they just full on just said, yeah, these are football pads, like like the Road Warriors, like Axe and Smash. This is fantastic. And then you have this skull right here on the side, and the yellowing, the coloring of the skull right there, and then like the metal parts that were just drilled into it. Like, who knows whose noggin this originally was, but when you look at it, when you look at the paint deco, when you look at like some of the asymmetry of the sculpt, I don't think this is meant to be like a replica skull on his shoulder. I think Road Pig grabbed somebody's skull and just strapped it onto his shoulder pad, and I love that. That is fantastic. I also love the double layering that they did of his pads. Road Pig is a deluxe figure, so there's going to be a little bit more attention to detail with him than some of the other characters, especially when you get here, like with the silver buckling that holds the padding together. I love this. I think this looks great. Once again, the gray around the pads there. And then we have all of his tattoos with, Dreadnoks across the front. We have his Anarchy symbol here. We have the tats here, his chain over here, like the skull crossbone deal going on here. This whole thing is fantastic. The only thing I'm surprised at is that there's nothing across his back. And I'm not talking about like a tramp stamp down here in the folds, but I'm surprised there's no like tat underneath the pads on his back. We have a single earring hanging down, which I think is a very cool touch. And then, of course, we have his flat top, and I love this band of red going along the bottom right there. I think that looks fantastic. On his wrist, we have the wrist gauntlet with the wrist crossbow. We have some quarrels right here. It's a very soft plastic. It's kind of a rubber, so you can see that they're bent in a little. He has more. That's where they are. He has more down here. He has more down here on his hip for when these run out. So this is like your fast reload, and these are your extras right there. I think that's very cool. I love the chaps that he's wearing. I don't know how many Dreadnoks. I think Torch has chaps as well. I don't think Ripper or Buzzer do. We have the codpiece, the studding, all of the detail with the silver paints right there. We have the studding of the belt going along the back with the belt loops. Great attention to detail on this. Great paint apps. Love this. Once again, the quarrels a little bent in. Have to straighten that one up just a tad. Then we get down to the boots, and look at this knee pad with this boar's head right here. Tell me that doesn't look awesome. Tell me that doesn't look awesome. The paint, the detail to it, a little bit of like a black wash on it to make the detail stand out, and then asymmetrical compared to this one over here that is just like a piece of metal with two rivets. And then we have the metal bracings of the boots. We have the two-tone coloring of the leather, the black and the brown, and then the straps holding the metal plate on. And then we have his external steel toes. His external steel toes on his boots as well, along with some heel protection right there. I think Road Pig looks fantastic. I love the look of him. There's some heft to him too. He's heavy, he's chunky, he's chonky. So, and now I'm looking at the face sculpt right here. Like, it's not often that you get a good looking face sculpt for a character that's not meant to be good looking. Like, I really like what they did with him, how he has a little bit of grain right here so you can see his 5 o'clock shadow, his stubble growing in. His eyes, honestly, I thought maybe that was a paint mistake, that one is kind of kicked in while the other one looks straight. But when you compare it to the other face portrait that we have, I believe the eyes are doing the same thing. So I don't know if he was designed to have a lazy eye, or am I just seeing that wrong? Like, to me, on both of these head sculpts, this eye, his left eye, seems to be wandering in a little bit more than the right one. Let me know what you think, if that's all in my head, but I'm not seeing both of them looking straight ahead, but I am seeing that both head sculpts have sort of the same flaw. So I don't know if that was something that was intended, but I really like the size of him, the girth that there is. I think this is a great looking just a great looking, unique figure for the classified line. Something that the classified line really needs to just like stand out. And I love that. Now let's take a look at the articulation right here. And this absolutely is going to interfere with it. We'll get to that in a second. But the head will do a full 360 spin. He can look up fairly well. He can look down, not too much. And he has some really good head tilt side to side. Now his arms will do a full 360. At least this one will anyway. He has a butterfly joint. The arm will come up past 90. We have the bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows that don't close all the way, but mainly it's because of this wrist gauntlet here. The strap of the wrist gauntlet gets in the way when you try and close it. Straighten that out, and let's push this down a little bit so we can get to the wrists. The wrists swivel, and this one hinges up and down. I have one of his fists on right now. I didn't realize that, but he has two trigger hands. He comes with two sets of hands, fists and trigger hands, and I did swap them out when I was playing around with him before I started shooting. I forgot to set it back. But one thing that I find interesting is his fists hinge up and down as well as his weapon-wielding hands, which is what we have over here. So none of them hinge in and out. All of them hinge up and down. And this is like his gripping hand. He comes with his trigger fingers on both of them, but he doesn't come with any triggered weapons. Now, over here, this does get in the way when you try and bring the arm up. It's not solid, or it's not stiff, but it is solid because of how well connected it is to the piece of armor. Also, his arms aren't going to go all the way around. It'll go that far forward. It'll go that far back, but even then it's like riding up a little bit. The armor, that is. Now, if we bring the arms forward and then pry them back like that, and then we turn at the bicep, then you can get his arm up to 90, but you're still going to see this trenching right here from the ball joint inside. So there is that option there, but just trying to bring it straight up underneath this, it doesn't really work, at least not on mine. Now here we have this ab cut right here, where we can get a full 360 spin out of it. There's a little bit of back. There's not a whole lot of forward. And there's not a whole lot of side-to-side rock. There's a little bit, but not a whole lot. Down here at the waist, there is another ball joint at the waist that he can do a full 360. No movement really there. It's pretty much just turning at this point. There's no forward. There's no back to speak of. There's a little bit, but not much. Coming down to the legs, we have the drop-down hips, that they'll come forward that far. They'll go back that far. Just because they're dropped down, you still got a lot of plastic real estate here to deal with. They will come out to the side that far. Now he does have the thigh cut. He has double-jointed knees that travel pretty well considering how chunky they are. He has the boot cut. He has the ankles rocking. He has the ankles rocking back. He has the ankles rocking forward. And of course, we have the forward-facing pin for some rocker. Oh, and one other thing I forgot to do. I forgot to show you. Check out the tread pattern on the bottom of the boots too. A lot of detail went into this figure. A lot of care went into this figure. And I just love Road Pig even more for it. Okay, you saw that he has a closed fist and a gripping hand with a trigger finger on him already. These are the other two. I just wanted to show you that, yeah, he does have two trigger fingers, even though he doesn't have any triggered weapons. He does have some weapons, though, and we're going to take a look at those in a second. In addition to this face sculpt, this more neutral-looking face, he does have this one as well, where he has a little bit of a yelling face right here. I like that it's not really stressed, not really tensed. Like there's no vein popping out on his forehead or anything. And if you pop this off and you put this one on, it looks just as good. You could definitely use this as like your standard Road Pig head, especially once you get some weapons in his hand, or if maybe he's yelling a command to Rawkus once we take a look at him. But the one that I really like, that like surprised me when I saw the figure advertised on the live stream in the first place, is this guy right here. His boar head mask and helmet. I love this. I don't think this was part of the vintage figure at all. This is totally like a classified thing. and I love this. Like, let's pop this off, and let's put this on, and just, let's get that on there. Oop. There we go. Just look at this. Look at how insane that looks. Look at how crazy that looks. Look at how good that looks. This is probably how I'm going to be displaying my road pig, because this looks crazy. You have the leather part coming down and back, protecting the back of his neck. You have like the boar snout coming down, the horns, the metallic tusks, the nose plug. You can see like the metal frame underneath, that like this really is the face peeled off of a boar skull and just applied to this metal mask underneath. You got the red lenses. This looks nuts. That same burnished like gunmetal of the helmet with more horns coming up, kind of matching the skull he has on his shoulder. I mean, this just looks gnarly. This looks so cool. I love this thing. So talking about the weapons that he does come with, we have the cinder block on a stick, which is his vintage weapon, basically. Just like a big cinder block on a stick that he uses for a hammer. Even as a kid, I was never really thrilled with this. It didn't make much sense to me. Eventually, that cinder block's going to break. And it's not like, I don't know, it never really spoke to me when I was a kid. It never really did much for me when I was a kid. And this might have been one of the reasons I was just in no rush to get him in the vintage line. I do like the texturing, the dimpling, and like the chips that they took out of the cinder block as part of the sculpt. I think that's really good. I think the openings are a little too big. I think there should be more concrete in there. The mounting peg, where we just have like the burnished metal right there, and then of course the handle, just a wooden handle. And I like how the brown of the wraps is a different shade of brown to the handle itself. And this does fit very well, at least down to the handle part. If you get past the handle, it's a little loose. But down to the handle part right there, it fits very secure into his hand. His hand flops around a little, but that's about the extent of it. So it does fit very well into his hand. He can hold it. He can get a two-handed grip on it. You can see it is heavy and the wrist is a little loose. So you do need that second gripping hand to give it a two-handed grip for, you know, a cinder block. But that's not the one I like. Very much how like I really dig that this head sculpt is probably going to be my preferred one, the classified head sculpt. The weapon that he comes with that I love is this beauty. Look at it. We have a boar's head on this side. We have a meat tenderizer on this side. We have something that's just going to bring the pain on a bent handle, leather wrap right there. And then we got this spike at the bottom so that he can just jab it into people at close range whenever he can't get a full swing on it. This is crazy. This is nuts. I so love the look of this, the sculpt of it, the paint apps on it, the gunmetal, the burnishing, the weathering, the black wash, everything looks great. This is my preferred weapon for Road Pig. This is is what I'm going to be posing him with, because this is so much of a better weapon, so much of a better piece, just so much more of like a signature piece than that guy is. Something else that he comes with is this rusty hook right here, and I don't know what this is supposed to be used for. I don't know if this was supposed to be something meant to be used for like skinning, like maybe this is how he ripped the boar's face off for his mask. But you have a little bit of serration right there. You have this grip hook that really, it does look like a grip and rip type deal. And then we have just like the wrapped handle with the twin spikes underneath. So I don't know what the real world reference is for this piece, if there is any at all. But this could definitely do some damage in battle in Road Pig's world. Now, the one thing about it is, if you look at this grip right here is very narrow. It's very small. That when you try to put it in his hand, it doesn't really fit very well because of how thick his fingers are and how thick his grip is. Okay, so what I had to do was just put these 3 fingers on the inside and get his trigger finger up around the outside right here. And I had to actually pry the fingers open a little bit to get him to hold on to it. So he can get a grip on it, and he looks dangerous holding it. I dig this. I like it as an accessory. I don't think it's going to be my favorite. I don't know how often I'll be showing him off with it. Especially when you consider that he comes with this. I love this. The boar's head with good luck and a little bit of like flame being breathed out of the boar. This is basically the riot shield that came with Shockwave. Just has a different paint deco. Logos up top. It's still for the wrong hand. But with him, I don't really care, because with Shockwave, you wanted this, he's a SWAT guy, you wanted this to be in his left hand so you could use this cutout to have the barrel of his weapon coming over the top. With Road Pig, he's just using something, a big hammer, whether it's that one or whether it's the cinder block right here. So he can just use this as a regular shield. Now this does put it on the right hand, but hey, who's to say Road Pig isn't left-handed? At least my version anyway. So you can take that handle. You can see it has the handle and it has the wrist clip right there. You just put it in his hand. Oop, come on. Put it in his hand, roll it back, clip that in, and there you go. He has shield and hammer, and just for funsies, let's do this, because this is more than likely how I'm going to be displaying my Road Pig on the shelf. Look at that. He looks like a freaking barbarian biker, and I love it. That looks so cool. This is what I mean by like why I love the Dreadnoks. And you have this diversity, you have this difference in the way that they look. Like, what guy on the Joe, what character on the Joes is going to look like this? Only with the Dreadnoks could you get away with a look like this. The football pads for the armor, the skull on the shoulder, the repurposed riot shield that he probably stole from city police. This hammer, which who knows where he would have gotten that, but hey, he's a Dreadnok, anything's possible. And this, imagine, even if you're in a firefight and this comes running at you, what are you thinking? This is nuts. Oh, I freaking love this so much. This is why I got excited when I first saw it, because I knew this combination was going to be my favorite of how I just display Road Pig. Now, that's not to say that the masked head sculpt is his only face accessory that he comes with, because he does come with this mask too that has sort of these horns that I don't know if this is supposed to be like a muzzle or a gas mask, a breathing mask or whatever, but this also gives him a very unique look. And I don't think anything like this was with the vintage figure, but once again, I didn't have the vintage figure. This is designed to go over his standard head sculpt. However, when I tried to pull it down over top, that's a lot of noggin for Road Pig. So what I actually discovered was it's much easier to put this on if you pop this off and then come up from the bottom. That you just put the nose piece over the nose, and then you bring the strap up, just the top strap, up over the back of his head, and sort of run it along the line, the red line of his hair. So then he has it on like that, and then we can just pop this on, and there you go, because that looks really cool too. Like, if I didn't have the boar's head mask, the boar's head helmet, this would be my primary way of displaying him, because I do think it looks that cool, especially with these tusks coming up from the lower part. But because we do have the boar's head, this, unfortunately, is probably just going to go into storage. It does look really good, though. I like the red making it stand out from anything else, because he doesn't really have any red anywhere else on the figure. Your eyes are drawn right to that. And here we have a look at Rawkus, and who's a good boy. Look at this guy. This is fantastic. I mean, Hasbro has been knocking it out of the park with their animal sculpts and their animal figures to begin with, and Rawkus isn't going to be any different. First of all, let's take a look at the detailing, the texturing of his fur. I love the airbrushing underneath, where we have a little bit of white and it fades down to the underbelly right here. Also, you can see on the bottom of his paws, he has the pink pads right there, which I think is a fantastic touch as well. But then also looking at his face sculpt with the scar coming across the one eye, the little bit of white airbrushed right here at the nose, and of course, speaking of the nose, we have that black shiny nose that has the continuation of the scar coming up to it. Like, Rawkus got into a bit of a tiff, and he probably came out the better for it. He has his spiked collar right here, which is really just a black piece of rubber with some silver painted studs on it. And he has his docked tail right here. But let's take a look at the articulation, that he does have a bit of a waist twist right here that he can also turn. He can go up and down a little bit. We come up here to the neck. He goes up and down there. He has full articulation at the head, can do a full twist, can look side to side. His forelegs will go forward. They'll go back to there. He has articulation there, and it'll come forward that far. There's a hinge and swivel right there. Also, the front legs, almost forgot, they're on a bit of a ball joint that you see we can get some outward articulation there. And of course, he has articulation here, and also a little bit here at the ankles as well, and those pivot slightly, but not much. Now, at the back legs will go back way far. They'll come all the way around, actually. Okay. These joints are very tight. It's another hinge and swivel, but you can see, let's get this one. This one I warmed up, I think, and loosened. That this one will come forward, and you can bring it back. Hinge and swivel there as well. Articulation there, and nothing at the paw, just right there. Oh, no, wait, there is. Whoop, sorry. There is at the paw. Rawkus's articulation was very tight getting out of the packaging. I had to heat up the front paws, or front legs, and I probably should have heated up both back legs a little bit better as well. These points, the pinned points, are loose. They're fine. It's these, like the elbow joints right there, the elbow and knee joints right there, where it's like really tight. But in addition to his working face right here, we can pop the head off, and Rawkus does come with a secondary head sculpt. We can pop that on. And we have his good boy look. Eyes are a little bit more focused, a little bit calmer. Love how his little tongue is poking out from between his lips right there. Rawkus is a good boy. Yes, he is. Okay, now putting the tape measure to him, we can see that Road Pig is approximately 6 7/8 to the top of his flat top, and Rawkus over here is 2.5 inches at the top of his shoulder, and roughly 3 inches to the top of his ears. That makes Rawkus roughly the same size as the other animals in the classified line, but it makes Road Pig taller than most of the other figures. Although that does put him about on par with the likes of Gung Ho and Roadblock. He'll be taller than your standard Marvel Legends, and he actually sizes up pretty well with Super 7 Ultimates, Thundercats, and Conan. He even fits in fairly well with the Frazetta Girls Icon collectibles, but he'll still be dwarfed by your Masterverse figures. But I feel like he could still hold his own against the NECA Toys Dungeons & Dragons line. You all know I love my Dreadnoks, and you know I love my Barbarian figures, so of course I'm going to have a very, very strong attachment to Road Pig here, which surprises me more than anything else, because I didn't have him when I was a kid, so I have no, like, nostalgic tug towards Road Pig. As a matter of fact, when I was a kid, I didn't want him on the gang, in the club. I don't know why. There was just something about him that when I was younger, I didn't want him there, but now that I have him in this classified version and this deluxe version with these different head sculpts with that boar's head mask, that just, like I said, biker barbarian look that he has going on, I love this updated version of the character, of the figure. I think he looks great, and I think he's a fantastic addition to the Dreadnoks. Like I said, this is one of the things that I really like about the Dreadnoks, is that they really add just some pop, some insanity, just something a little off the wall to the G.I. Joe classified line. That everything isn't a uniform Joe or a uniform Cobra. The Dreadnoks really stand out and give you that, let's mix things up a little bit, that you do tend to get with like Marvel Legends, where every character, unless they're part of a team, like the X-Men, aren't really uniform. They just are all their own individual characters. I love that Road Pig is such a character in and of himself, right down to the flat top, the two-tone flat top, the skull on his shoulder, like I said, the boar's head mask, the shield, that other mallet that just makes him look like a biker barbarian, having the option to put the muzzle on him, and then the different head sculpts for Rawkus as well. There is so much going on with this figure that it's just like little things that they added here and there, and I would love to like be able to talk to Lenny and like pick his brain about why they made some of the choices that they made with Road Pig. He's really one of like my favorite figures that came out for the classified line in 2024. I've been having a blast playing with him while I was shooting photos for this and like just during the review. He's bigger than a lot of the Joes. He's on par with guys like Slaughter and Gung Ho and Roadblock. He adds a presence to the Dreadnoks, and he's kind of like a centerpiece figure, like they would all rally around him or something. I don't know, it's just, he really has presence, he really has a great look, and I really dig this figure. I'm really excited to see what we're going to be getting for the Dreadnoks coming down the line. There are a lot more Dreadnoks to pick from, and seeing things like this, seeing what they did with Road Pig, I'm really curious to see what they're going to be doing with some of the other ones like Zanzibar coming down the line. Happy New Year, everyone. The holidays are over and it's great to have you all back. To celebrate the new year, go ahead and leave a like on the video. And while you're at it, you might as well subscribe if you haven't already. If you're a returning subscriber, I would like to thank you for coming back and joining me for 2025. If you would like to help this community of collectors grow, you can do so by joining the Steel Core. You can do that by becoming a channel member or a coffee page subscriber. Either one gets you access to members-only videos, the Discord, and eventually members-only live streams, all for $1 a month. You can join by clicking on the button below this video or by clicking the link to my coffee page in the description below. It's a new year and new things are coming to the channel. So play well, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.